Welcome in to another. I've lost count. I'm pretty sure once we get to this point, we don't have to say this is episode whatever number, unless we're like inside the actor's studio or whatever it may be.
I know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I think it's 5. I don't know for certain, but hey, we're back.
Well, look in your podcast player. If you see 5 shows stacked up, then it's 5.
Then it's number 5. Yeah,
if not, it's 4. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Mike Molson. Too good for radio. Appreciate you tuning in. Just trying to give you some levity. There's a lot of craziness going on around the world and everything else, so we're just trying to bring you a little bit of fun and discuss some interesting topics we found from the internet.
You know what occurs to me is podcasts all have some sort of a mission, a theme. Sometimes they're a mini series. Sometimes there's an overarching. I don't know what the hell this is.
I don't either. We're the antithesis of that. Yeah. We're not trying to solve life's mysteries or unearth some old footage of some crime that happened or anything.
Right.
Those seem to be the most popular, though. Are the ones that people are really into. They like gory, gross, grisly murder stuff.
They're brilliant. But,
they do a really good job.
Every once in a while, if you feel like you're just in the mood for listening to something where you say, I don't know what this is, but I'm listening to it, then that's what this is.
That's exactly what this is, because we begin with this particular question.
It's too good to be on radio, but not quite good enough to be a podcast. I think is really what this is.
We're right in that sweet spot of I don't know where it belongs or what good it brings to the world,
right.
But yet it's still here in audio form for me to listen to.
It would be amazing if it were on the radio.
It would be great on the radio, but
as a podcast, I don't think anyone wants to hear this.
No, exactly. It should probably be on the radio, but it's too good for that.
Yeah,
but it's not a podcast-worthy thing.
What's going on here?
I do too. So let's get into it then. This question: what band considered great is a band you can't stand? I think we know the answer right away for you.
I'll always point to the Eagles, which really people just love more than they should.
Yeah, and what is it about the Eagles that you can't stand so much?
They're always complaining about something.
Okay.
There's always like a woman trying to get them.
I'm
trapped in a hotel.
There's lion eyes. There's witchy women. Everything going on there.
And it's just a complaint. It just sounds like a nonstop complaint.
Yeah.
And then people always go, but those harmonies. It's like, you know what? The Barbershop Quartet has awesome harmonies, too. I don't like them either.
Right. They also bug me. For me, I'm trying to when I first read this, I was trying to think of more modern bands, but one that always gets me. Now there's 2 that's popping up, and I fell into it. I think everyone goes through a phase where you think bands like the Grateful Dead and Phish are great,
right?
And then you realize they're crap,
right?
That they're not great. They're just guys who got super high and were in the studio going, hey, we're going to try things, and here's a 15-minute long jam session that just goes nowhere.
Yeah, and I think I think there was something of it was a secret club, because you had to follow them and see their concerts live and go there, and you had to experience, because if you didn't experience and you really weren't seeing Phish or you really weren't experiencing
I experienced it once.
Did you?
A Phish concert? Yeah. Don't experience it unless you're someone who loves to do drugs.
Do you have to burn your clothes afterwards?
I was very close, but I'm not one who partakes in any of the hallucinogenics or anything like that.
Gotcha.
So it was like if you're a person who doesn't drink and you're around a bunch of drunks. Right. It's basically what it boils down to.
That's no fun.
These people were all entranced, like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. And I am just bored out of my freaking mind because I'm like, no one needs a 15-minute bass solo. I'm just over it. So those bands are considered kind of great that I can't say. The Doors are another one that I just don't get.
Yeah.
How great they are. It's just like, I just don't get, like, had Jim Morrison lived longer, would the Doors still be great? I think everyone would have been like, not so much on that.
I tell you who should not really get the acclaim that they get, the Beach Boys. Why do people like the Beach Boys?
My dad once again, it goes back to harmonies, maybe, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, look, once in a while in the summer, hearing a song about the beach, awesome.
They went a little too hard on that.
Every song on every album has something to do with sand, a sailboat, with salt water, something. It's like, how much can you do?
And at times, I cannot, and people can light me up.
A bikini.
People can light me up if they want. I could not tell. If you put a Jan and Dean song on,
right,
I would be like, oh, that's the Beach Boys.
The Beach Boys, yeah.
And they would go, no, that's Jan and Dean. I can't differentiate between those two particular ones at all.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they might have a place on a nice July night when you're sitting at the pool. That's about it.
I'm right there with you. I
don't know what the deal is with the Beach Boys.
And all their song. Remember that time when Aerosmith made "Crying" amazing and crazy, and it sounded like the same song.
Right.
That's what the Beach Boys, except for like Pet Sounds, right? Wasn't that or Pet Sessions, whatever the hell that one weird where like Brian Wilson was in like in bed forever, and he just kind of like rolled out, and they were trying different things.
I got no use for the Beach Boys,
and I got no use for Pink Floyd either.
Really?
I mean, they're okay. Right, but I had a roommate in college that had everything, and it's just like, okay, they're just doing this to do this stuff anymore.
They're a workout. I mean, you really have to strap in and go, all right, I need to absorb what's going on here. And sometimes I don't want music to have to do that.
Yeah, did you ever try the Dark Side of the Moon, Alice in Wonderland crap?
Oh, Wizard of Oz? No.
Yeah, that's what it was, Wizard of Oz. I thought it was Alice. Maybe it's Alice. Everyone has their own movie they put it to. Right. And my friend was like, no, you got to check this out. I'm just like, I'm bored.
Right.
Like it goes on, whoop-de-freaking-do. Like, I'm bored. Let's move on.
Just watch the movie.
Yeah, exactly. But without this different soundtrack. Speaking of boring, I love this question. Here's the question. You're invited to join the pantheon of gods, right? The Greek and Roman gods, okay? Zeus and everything up in Olympus. But you're in an entry-level position, okay? What ordinary, mundane, everyday thing do you choose to be god of? I have one. And you're going to laugh at me because it's lowest common denominator, but I am the god of regular bowel movements. I am Dumpus.
Oh.
I am Dumpus, the god of being regular.
Have you gotten to that age where you really look forward to it? Where you go, oh, wow.
I now understand my father more than I ever did as a child. I don't take...
You want to tell people about it when you get done? It's like, you would not believe. It was all of it. The whole thing came out.
Exactly. It was amazing.
It was a good day.
I'm like clockwork. Every day after work, for the most part, I either go home before I work out, I take care of it, or afterwards. I run it out. I eat my kale, I eat my salad, and so I am the god Dumpus. I am the god of regular bowel movements. It's a mundane, everyday thing, but it's an important it's one of those things you're healthy if you're doing it every day.
Sure.
And so some people would pray to the god of Dumpus to help them be more regular. The people that get bound up, maybe eat too much cheese, whatever it may be, they would have a little shrine of Dumpus over there, and they would come and they would, I don't know, offer up whatever roughage needs to be offered up. Well. And Dumpus would be there to be like, tomorrow at 3:30, that's going to be your time. Everybody's got their constitutional time. I had a guy I worked with back in the day at Hot Topic when he went on the Atkins diet. Every morning at like 8:30 before we'd open the store, he'd be like, hey, clear out the back room. I got business to attend to.
By the way, this episode brought to you by both Hot Topic and the Atkins diet plan.
Thank them both.
Got a special discount code, Mike and Molson, when you get there.
When you want early 2000 nostalgia, you want this show. Atkins and Hot Topic.
Well, I don't want to anger the god of Dumpus for sure. I do not want to be smoted by the god of Dumpus.
No, where you're bound up for a week and you're just so bloated you can't get it out. That would be terrible. So that's my entry. Do you have anything? What would you be the god of the ordinary, mundane, everyday thing to choose to be the god of?
I don't know if I could top that. I wish I was like I'd like to be a god of a filing cabinet or something, like the one who does all the filing. The paper. There's probably a lot of paperwork.
Phyllis?
Yes, Phyllis.
Phyllis.
Philo with a Phyllis.
The god of filing things alphabetically?
Because I would think that there's a lot of paperwork up on Mount Olympus.
Oh.
There's always something going on. You
are really getting into this entry level position. Yeah. You're filing things right away.
I mean, who orders up the Rock to chase Sisyphus, for example, right? I mean, who's gonna bound Prometheus for the eagle to come eat its liver or something like that? Somebody's got to make the phone calls. I would do that.
You would do that. Phyllis.
I would do that until I prove myself.
You would put the paperwork through. Then you move up to middle management. Guy?
That's what I would shoot for.
There you go. We're both very entry level with our filing position, and I'm basically janitorial.
Yeah.
I'm basically cleaning up the toilets. So Phyllis and Dumpus.
Pandora opens her box. There's a lot of paperwork to be. I mean, there's there's insurance policies you got to look into.
There's so much.
You've got to call Public Works. You have to.
And then you got to find someone to try to stuff it back in there.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, you don't want any part of that.
You got to set up a new account at the electric company.
Who are you going to call? You're going to call Phyllis at that point. You're going to Phyllis and Dumpus. So moving on here, the Mike and Molson, too good for radio, but not good enough for a podcast. Have you ever had this time where you get a odd or random text that isn't meant for you, like it's a wrong number or a wrong phone call? Mm-hmm. What is the weirdest one you've gotten in that particular instance? And have you ever gotten a phone call, whether it be a wrong number or maybe a telemarketer, that you carry on a conversation with much longer than just, hey, I think you got the wrong number?
Now, are we including the 14 people who are running for governor in the state of Illinois right now?
Oh, God, yeah.
Are you getting those texts?
Not yet. Not yet. Thank goodness. I'm not getting those texts as of yet.
I don't know where my phone number is, but I'm getting one from everybody.
I think for me, it's more I had an elongated text conversation than I ever did a phone call. Like the phone call was always very much, oh, I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong number. All right, even voicemails that have been left on my phone, some go a little bit longer than they should. I never know how to react to those. I think the weirdest one I had in that particular situation was someone called trying to tell someone that their like a family member had passed.
Oh,
they're
wow.
like, hey, Bobby, I'm sorry about, your aunt. She was a very kind woman. I know I haven't reached out in a while. So I'm like, do I then text this number back and be like, hey, I'm not Bobby. You may want to check it out because he needs to know. Or do I call that now? I just kind of let it be. And to this day, I don't know if Bobby knew his aunt ended up dying.
Did you write back and just say, I was sick of her anyway?
I should have. Yeah. I should have texted to that voicemail and been like, hey, I don't know why you're calling me. I don't care about, Aunt Virginia or whatever it may be. I know I never really enjoyed her company anyway. But that's the oddest for me. I never really had an elongated phone conversation though.
The only thing I did, and to this day I still feel horrible, was back when telemarketers were people and it wasn't just a recording.
Yeah, the robocall.
Asking you about your car warranty. I got a call from, I don't know if she was selling a credit card or a magazine subscription or...
And this is probably before we had caller ID too, right?
Yeah.
Caller ID, you were like... Because
it must have been, yeah.
There was a moment in time that we all probably experienced of a certain age where when the phone rang, it was a moment of excitement.
You had to pick it up.
You had to pick it up to know what was going on, or you could screen with the answering machine if you really wanted to. But for the most part, we were all kind of programmed to answer that phone.
Phone rings, you answer it.
Yeah.
And so... she goes through her sales pitch, just real stiff and reading a script and everything. And I start in about, I can't afford this, but maybe we could just talk for a minute. I mean, nobody usually calls here at all. It's just really nice to hear a person's voice once in a while. And I'm just
really playing it on.
Just laying it on thick. And she's doing everything she can to get back on script. It's like, well, you could get 1,600 American Express points if you.
And you're like, I wish I could, but I just don't have the money for that. It's not going to happen for me. I've
been through a lot, and it's just really I just want to thank you a lot for calling because I don't usually get phone calls from people, and it's just nice to hear a human's voice. So I'm just going on through this.
I had to have a real connection with someone. I don't really have that very often.
Probably went on for 3 minutes or so. It wasn't anything ridiculous, and she's got to move on to her next call because calls are being monitored for quality assurance.
And the quality you've given her is not what she was looking for.
About 4 days later, an envelope shows up in the mail, thick. So there's stuff in it, handwritten, addressed to me, some woman's name on it, and I open it up, and she said. And there's pictures in there of her and like her kid.
What?
And this note saying, hey, listen, you seem like a really nice person, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to talk to you, but I hope you don't mind. I hope it's not too weird. I looked at your address on the computer, and so I thought I'd write you this letter.
Holy crap.
And all of a sudden, and so now she goes into this whole thing where, I don't know, she was 22 and had a 14-year-old kid. I mean, it was just...
So now she's the one that really needed to talk to you about things. of like, oh, my life is taking a wrong turn. I don't know how I ended up annoying people on the phone.
Right.
I would have blinked twice if you would have given me an out. Could you please save me now? I would love that human interaction.
And she goes, it's like usually when I call people, they're mad and they hang up, but you were nice and the whole thing and now because like I was joking, she was actually looking for a lifeline, or maybe she was maybe I don't know, maybe we were doing a whole routine and I didn't really pick up on it. Maybe that was
some performance art.
It could have been.
Did you write her back? No, you ended it at that.
I wish I still had that.
Was she like married? Was she available?
No, I think she was like a single mom. I remember her being very young and having a kid of an age where you go, oh my gosh, man, she probably got pregnant when she was
like 14 years
in high school or something.
Good Lord.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm laughing.
No, it's kind of bizarre that they would go that far.
I'm laughing because I did it to myself. I was
right, exactly. You opened it. It was like you're always saying, don't initiate a conversation. Don't need small talk. Right. You decided to play a joke, and it came back on you.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there having a good laugh, and then I feel like an absolute ass.
You should have pursued it.
I probably should have.
Who knows? Who knows what could have happened in that particular situation?
Well, send better pictures next time, Toots.
Don't lead with the kid. I don't leave that for the next date. Don't lead with photos of the child already.
Exactly.
Come on, lady. Know your audience. Speaking of know your audience, we have talked about food quite a bit here on this particular over the years. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions brought out by Ask Reddit, and that's where we kind of mine a lot of the material we do here on this not too good for radio, not good enough for a podcast. What's an overrated food in your mind? A food that's vastly overrated.
Steak.
Boy, when I was younger, I would jump across this board right now and strangle you because I was a big beef eater. But anymore, you're not wrong, I don't think.
I like steak.
I do too.
And
there's too many varieties, isn't there?
I can't keep them all straight. There's been a couple of times in my life where I've had a steak and went, oh my God, that was amazing. But just a couple of times.
Yeah. To me, there doesn't need to be that many. The people who say, I like the marbled fat, right? The people are just like, I need a good ribeye or whatever. Like, I don't need that.
That's so you have something to say at their wake. It's like, well, I know. He's
the
48 years old and had a grabber, but he loved the marbled fat.
He loved a good ribeye. I mean,
there's one thing you could say about him was...
He loved his marbled fat. Of course.
And if it weren't for the marbled fat, he'd still be here today.
If he only would have had a filet from time to time, but that was always too pricey for him.
Yes.
I think you're onto something.
I like steak.
I don't have any issue with it.
We're not going to turn one down.
It's one that I very rarely, even when I go to like a steakhouse anymore, right? Even when I'm at a really good steakhouse, I still kind of lean more to the seafood, like a Chilean sea bass or something like that. Give me that over the steak.
I mean, somebody is going to comment and say, well, if you haven't had the Wagyu beef from Japan, then that's something.
What's with the Wagyu beef or the grass-fed organic?
I don't know what's with it.
Yeah,
maybe I'm missing something.
Exactly. But it's hard for me to say, I'm going to pay $78 an ounce for your Wagyu beef.
Right.
How is it that much different from the 2 for $8 sirloin special from Hy-Vee? There's another new sponsor. Atkins, Hy-Vee, and Hot Topic.
I get it. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. But I've done that where I've bought the real nice one at the butcher and put it on the grill, and I've had it and went, that was good.
Yeah.
But steak is overrated.
Yeah, steak.
I said it.
You're damn right. That's a hot take. Hot take alert. You had a really good one. First thing that came to mind to me was caviar.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone's like, oh, put it on a pedestal. And it's like, it's salty fish egg. Like, that's not something
it's a lot of commotion for not a lot of payoff.
Right. It's like, okay, that's what everyone is all up in arms about is this is so, oh my God, it's going to change your life. It's like, no.
Yeah.
The one time I had it, maybe it's because I didn't have like the top of the line, but I don't imagine how much different a fish egg can be than the other one.
Right. Well, I mean,
to be honest with you,
yeah, I would stay away from the caviar from the Dollar General, for example.
Yeah, that would probably not be a good where to start.
Schnucks, though, probably has some.
That's a bigger step up. By the way, give the bell for that as well. That's a little bit bigger step up. I'm trying to think some other overrated food. I saw someone say, and they're not wrong. I just like it. But the going overboard that people have done for avocado toast, it's not as life-changing as you make it out to be.
No, it certainly isn't.
Like, I enjoy it. It's delicious. I really like it. But it's not one of those things that should be in the upper echelon of international cuisines. It's avocados either cut and put on there with other things or mashed in almost like a guacamole on toast. It shouldn't be ranking as high as it is. I love it.
I like it.
It's my go-to basic bitch brunch with that and a bottomless mimosa, and I'm good to go. And I love it. I'll watch my housewives and my Vanderpump Rules till the cows come home on that Sunday fun day. Woo-hoo.
Wearing your ballet slippers.
Exactly. Drinking out of a penis straw. But but it doesn't deserve to be as high up on the food chain of food that it is. So it's a bit overrated.
Yeah, it's one of those things that somehow has, like, remember when polenta got to be real popular? Did you ever have polenta?
Oh, I love me some good polenta.
I do too.
But it's hard to differentiate polenta from grits sometimes.
Well, and that's just it. You know, I mean, it was my grandparents used to laugh when it would be in these fancy restaurants because that's what they ate in the Depression. I mean, it's just cornmeal.
It's poverty potatoes.
But somehow it just became
like poverty nuts.
Something special.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I do like me a good polenta. But but I think steak is a great answer with the overrated food.
I'll have a pork chop over a steak.
I do like.
Now we're going viral.
Yeah, we are. Hot take alert here on the podcast. On the Too Good for Radio. Now it's going to be the hot take pod. Food takes. Pork chops better than steak. Bing, 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 bing. Wow. Do you like? I like a good pork chop too. Do you need barbecue on your pork chop though, or just like a good seasoned pork chop?
Yeah, season it.
Yeah, just season good. Brined?
Sure.
Yeah, I like it brined. I like the brine pork chop.
Next topic.
I
think we've done all we can do.
Exactly.
Here.
So, and we end as we now have another new name, Too Good for Radio, Not Good Enough for a Podcast. But for a while there, we were talking about the boobs and go and the awkward boner.
Oh, right.
This has both boobs and boners involved in this particular story from, shockingly enough, Dear Prudie.
Hit it.
It begins. I'm having a rather silly problem with my otherwise wonderful wife. She gets up early every morning before work to go to the gym, then takes a shower when she gets back to our small one-bedroom apartment. After her shower, she says she gets, quote-unquote, overheated easily while we're both getting ready for work. I can understand that, if I've already showered while she's gone, and she's been exercising, and then she's showered, plus she needs a blow dryer to style her hair. But her way of dealing with this is to walk around almost naked in just her bra and underwear until she absolutely has to get dressed to leave for work. She eats her breakfast like this, puts on her makeup this way. She basically just goes about her morning routine with barely any clothes on, and sometimes she skips the bra entirely.
The whole bra. Just not even one bra.
No,
the whole thing.
The whole thing. Skips the entire thing.
No
not
kidding.
just one hanging out there, both for everybody to see as she walks around.
Trollop.
Yeah, under other circumstances, I would enjoy this. But when I'm trying to get myself ready for the day, it's kind of distracting. I find myself getting aroused. There it is.
Come on.
And since we're both trying to get out the door for work, it's a bad time for sex. But then I get to work and I'm frustrated all day long because I'm thinking about the entire bra gone or her walking around in the bra and panties. I've tried raising this issue with her delicately, and she gets offended that I can't control myself after we've been married for 8 years, which I find offensive. She's the one walking around half naked. How do I try to resolve this problem peacefully?
Wow.
8 years of wedded bliss, and this guy's upset that his wife's walking around in a bra and panties because he gets so revved up that he can't do anything about it because they're getting ready for work. She's walking around, and then he gets to work, awkward boner, whatever he's still got, whatever, and he's frustrated all day long. Then he gets home, they're both, tired from the workday, nothing happens, and he's all upset about it. Trollop walking around in her bra and panties.
Man, dude, come on. I mean, don't we all, like, everyone likes to see their wife walking around naked.
That's awesome. Now, I don't think the opposite is true.
Oh,
right?
Without a doubt.
I don't think in this situation, right, if this was a Dear Prudie with the wife going, I got a problem with my husband. He goes to the gym in the morning, comes back, and he's overheated, and he walks around without any, sometimes without his entire underpants on. The entire underpants gone.
This is his solution, then.
He
needs to do that.
Fight fire with fire?
Yeah.
Just walk around.
Because if that's the thing, then he should do that. She'd go, what the hell is this about? And he'd say, I don't know. I'm overheated. What do you want?
Exactly. What are you going to do? I'm going to sit here and eat my breakfast with it all just hanging out for you.
Right. And then maybe she will go, oh, okay, I see I'll put on a rope.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But that being said, for God's sakes.
Can you turn it off? I understand, to your point. You enjoy seeing as a man. And I think it's cool after 8 years of marriage and everything else that he's that revved up and everything. Yeah. That's great. But there's times and places where you understand the, pardon the pun, ins and outs of what's going on. It's that you should kind of tone it down a little bit there, buddy.
It's nude in passing.
Right. And it's not even fully nude. Sometimes sans bra.
Right.
But otherwise, she's got bra and panties on. Do you feel the same way when you go to the beach and she's in a bikini? Do you go, right. Why are we in this public beach? I can't do anything about it.
I can't walk past a mannequin in Target.
Right. Exactly. Without going, oh, no, I'm frustrated all day. There's something more with this guy, right?
I mean, it's something. I think I don't know if he's just. I don't know. I mean, it's not that you get to a point where you're desensitized by it. You say, okay, that's just sort of everyday nude. This is sex nude.
Yeah, there's sex nude and everyday nude, and everyday nude is not her eating breakfast and doing her hair and getting ready for work. That's not everyday. That's everyday nude. That's not sexy nude.
Correct.
And you got to be able to differentiate that, my friend. After 8 years, you should know that line of delineation.
It's not on her.
No, that's not on her at all.
I mean, put some clothes on when you're eating.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you should be...
Yeah. Nude and food. They rhyme, but that's about it.
I think you're right on that. Yeah. I don't even know... Unless you're at a pool, and even then you're not fully nude. Like, if she's going sans bra, like if she's in bra and panties, that's like eating in a bikini. Right?
Could be.
So you could do that. But breakfast food is not the food you would eat in that particular situation. You don't eat breakfast at a pool or at a beach.
You don't.
So if it's a sandwich, it's okay.
Now, if there's something he's not telling us, I mean, does she have high heels on and one foot up on the table and she's eating strawberries or something? I mean, then
she's dipping it in the yogurt. And look at me. Or asking him to come over, feed me grapes for my breakfast.
Exactly. Which is entirely possible. I would not put it past her.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem like the case.
Okay.
But here's what Prudie has to say. Temptus fugit. At this stage in my life, the way I turn off my husband is to walk around naked. This is
Prudie.
Yeah, Prudie. This is a sweet dilemma. So it's too bad you both get so annoyed with each other over the fact that after 8 years, the sight of you undressed wife bouncing around, or your undressed wife bouncing around the apartment is so arousing. I get letters.
Well, he didn't say bouncing. That's different too.
Right,
if she's bouncing, of course.
If she's like Tigger, a wonderful thing about bunga bunga bung, that is.
She's running Baywatch slow motion.
Boing, yeah. So Prudie goes, I get letters from women wishing their husbands weren't lounging around with the family jewels draped over the upholstery. They do not find it a turn on. But I think yours is the first from a guy who finds his wife toilette so distracting he can't get out the door. But surely once you're at the office, you're able to focus on the marketing data and don't spend the whole day moaning over your morning testicular vasocongestion. That's a great one right there.
Watch your mouth, young lady.
Yeah, if you're not able to move on and save it for later, you sound very juvenile. That's what we were talking about. Instead of continuing to fight over this, try taking this action. Not the kind of action that'll make you late for work, but buy a pretty short sheer robe for your wife and give it to her as a gift. Explain that she's so damn attractive that if she were a little more covered in the morning, it would help you focus on the day ahead. Tell her she, of course, doesn't have to wear it, but that that color looks great on her, and you hope it's lightweight enough that she can put it on without getting overheated. Let's hope that she takes your gesture in good spirit and likes the robe. Of course, if it's silky and sexy, seeing her in it may have an unintended consequence of overheating you. So that's the way Prudie says.
That's a reasonable solution, I think.
Yeah.
I would hope that after 8 years, too, you could at least have the conversation of, wow, you really cranked me up today. Maybe you and I, when we get home tonight, can have a little fun.
Right. Can you say that instead? Be like, hey,
But in a better way than what I just said.
Wow.
Because what I just said would not work at all.
Yeah, wow, you really cranked me up. Can we do the old hibbity-dibbity? When I get home, let's do the old, horizontal bebop, as they say it.
Be a little more eloquent with your words.
Right, yeah, exactly. Kind of be like, after 8 years, the feelings that you stir up inside of me are still what they were that first time. And so could we have do you say passion? Is that a word? I'm married. I don't even know what the correct way to go about this would be.
And look, if none of this works, then you just swing. You just take your pants off and just let it swing.
Exactly. If none of this
then
works,
she'll go, oh, I see what's going on.
Yeah. You just traipse around because no one needs to see a man eating breakfast nude or brushing their teeth nude.
Exactly.
That is for certain. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in once again to the Too Good for Radio, Not Good for a Podcast. I'm Mike Wimmacher.
I'm Johnny Molson.
And we'll see you next time on the internets or wherever you're listening to your podcasts. I hope you're listening right now, once again, in some awkward situation, like a waiting room or whatever, and you're either laughing uncontrollably with your headphones on, or the entire waiting room now knows about men dangling around, not eating things nude.